So this is going to be a bit of a ramble, but I've been thinking recently about second-class citizens. And who are they in a first world, for example? And if you do a quick search on any search index, Google, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, you'll notice that men come up, parents with children, smokers, sex offenders come up. I was thinking, what about America's young people? They've been raised, sort of from their birth, as second-class citizens, with the entire generation of helicopter parents hovering over them all the time, telling them what they can and can't do, almost as if they're slaves. They have no agency of their own, and I'll just postulate that this is perhaps why we saw so many uprisings recently in the inner cities, not in the inner cities, in Baltimore and Ferguson, for example. Maybe it wasn't just the perceived injustice of the police force and brutality of police officers shooting and killing sort of young adults, but maybe it was the fact that these young adults have been told their entire life what to think and what to do. They have not been given the opportunity to go out and make mistakes of their own. They've been shielded from that. And so they want to get out from under the controlling thumb of whether it be the government or it be their own parents. And it seems the only way that they sort of can convey this or could express this is through protests. It's an interesting theory, I think, and it occurred to me because being a young adult myself, I have often felt controlled very much by my upbringing, by my parents, or as it would be a single parent. For example, when you go to an event, be it a family get-together or what have you, and basically you have to look up to that parent or parents to know what food you can eat, what drinks you can drink, where you can go, what you can do at the event, who you can see. You're being constantly manipulated and controlled by your parents, and then it changes after you maybe leave the house. Then it's the state. The state's telling you what to think. And for example, we have colleges with a very progressive, idealistic, I don't want to call it theology, but it's almost a theology, where they tell you what to believe. It's usually sort of a socialist, feminist agenda, and then you are not allowed to question that. It's sort of the same relationship you had growing up with the helicopter parent effect, with the parents who wouldn't let you, they didn't want you to hurt yourself, they wouldn't let you hurt yourself, so they were protecting you from the big bad world, but at the same time they were silently stifling you. They were making it so you couldn't be heard. When you had opinions, they made it known that they were the parent in the equation and that their opinions mattered so much more than your opinion did, right? Which is sort of what's happening when they move out and they go to a college. They're going to colleges where the state or whoever is controlling what is now a progressive agenda, they are the ones telling you what you should think, how you should behave, what is wrong, what is right, and you don't dare question them. They are in charge. You question them, it could put your future at risk, right? This is a dangerous ideology. The fact that we are essentially raising a generation of children who lack their own agency, that we encourage such behavior, such parenting. We do not want our children to take any risks. We do not want them to be put in any dangerous situations. It was interesting because the way that my parents would freak out just about meeting new people as if they were potential child molesters, just average people. And I think that rubbed off on me quite a bit. And if I have a list of sort of objectives to strive towards, big long-term goals, and that would be one of them, is to overcome the feeling that I was raised with, the feeling that I was a second-class citizen in a first world country, simply because I was a child, and that never left. When I became an adult, there was no ticker that went like that, and all of a sudden now you have your agency back. You are still under the thumb of both your parents financially and the state when it comes to the furthering of your education. So how do you overcome that feeling that you are a second-class citizen, that your opinions are not important, that they will not be heard? Well, I think in the case of Baltimore and even Ferguson, that perhaps these were young people who were finally standing up to the system and saying that they weren't going to take it anymore. Then they expressed themselves in the only way they realized was possible, that people would actually listen to them, and that was through violence and through destruction, which is a terrible thing, and it says a lot about the society we live in. Why have we become so tone deaf? Why is it that we are no longer open to dialogue? We will not accept opposing views. We have become so mired in either the religious or the progressive ideology that we shut out any and all differing opinions. And we treat our children, we put them in bubble wrap to make sure that they are never exposed to anything that their parents would consider negative. And it has a profound impact on them. We are raising a generation that is weaker than any, I think, in the past of human history. It's a potentially frightening thought. It's a sobering thought. And I hope I have made you consider the possibilities of it. Do you consider yourself under the thumb of either the government and their agenda, or your parents and theirs? How would you express yourself differently? Would you view other people differently? These are all good questions that I have to ask myself. And I hope you ask yourself too. Well, I believe that's all for now, and this has been a bit of a long ramble. So thank you for listening. And until next time, farewell.